It was good, y'all. It's your man, the Bigga P, and here to share my thoughts on the HBO card that just happened just about half hour ago or so. All right, the first fight was it Dmitry Mikalenko versus Kareem Mayfield. Now, this fight was originally supposed to be Malenko versus Ray Robinson, but Ray Robinson had actually gotten into a car accident. And also too, I think he was also part of the welterweight tourney that was going on for the WBC. So unfortunately, he was not able to, he was not able to recover in time for the fight. So in comes Kareem Mayfield about a couple weeks' notice. Um, this fight, I wasn't overly excited about this fight on paper. Um, like I said, I like Kareem Mayfield. I mean, like I said, I watched before as he was having the momentum before. He stopped Steve Forbes, and then he had a shot on HBO before beating Mauricio Herrera, and then afterwards he stumbled a little bit. He had stumbled in what was supposed to be probably his audition fight. He stumbled badly against Delerme, and then afterwards he lost another fight to Manuel Taylor. I think that was on ESPN Friday night. So after that, I think he only had like one fight before this fight tonight. Malenko I had only watched once, and that was his last fight against like Joanne Perez, which I thought was a pretty decent grind. That he actually stopped him late in the fight. So I guess this was Malenko's fight to actually his audition fight for HBO for both of them. For Mayfield, it'd probably be his last shot. And I'm thinking to myself, he was, they were saying, oh, this guy, oh, he was in shape, he was ready, and stuff like that. I didn't see any of that at all. Um, Kareem, I mean, I know from on the opening bell, he came out and rocked him, early. He tried to bum rush him, and I think he tried to score an early round knockout. But pretty much he gassed out by the end of that round. And after that, it was just a whole lot of bum rushing into the ropes and just awkward. And Mayfield's an awkward fighter. Although he can punch, he does have good power in his right hand, but he just didn't have any stamina. Now Malenko, they kept on the HBO, and I seen, they kept on saying that, yes, he doesn't have enough pop, blah blah blah. Yes, that's true. He doesn't have enough pop, and also, although he is accurate, he also does throw a lot of arm punches. And then they compare him to Gradovich, which I don't really think a welterweight Gradovich, which I don't really think is the best comparison per se. Um, because Gradovich, although he has a low KO record, he does have a little pop and also better punching technique. Mikalenko was not impressive, but apparently what he was doing was enough for Kareem, who pretty much who gassed out completely by the later rounds, and was just resigned to actually staying on his feet. And I was hoping, and then other than one, I think it was a right hook or something like that near the end of one of the rounds, Makalenko's offense wasn't overly effective to the point where you could say, okay, yes, he can turn up and actually trying to stop him. So it went the distance. It was a pretty dull fight. Um, I was disappointed. I mean, I thought at least they'd have some sort of fireworks. I thought Mayfield was actually in shape, but it was not the case. So I mean, McClinko, he won by unanimous decision. Pretty much, you think he won all the rounds on two of the judges' card, and then he won 9 out of the 10 on the last judges' card. So I mean, Mikalenko, he did impress, but I'm pretty sure HBO will probably give him another shot to actually, make another good impression. As for Kareem, like I said, I like the guy. But he's like 35. He's gonna be 36 this year, and this is unfortunately another fight where he didn't perform to as needed. Granted, it was a last minute appointment, but I just can't see. I mean, it's probably gonna be one of those ones where Kareem is probably heading towards opponent status right now. And because I can't really see where he's going to go from there. Because unless HBS is going to bring him in as an opponent for somebody last minute, that's what I would say. Because it's going to be hard for him to rebuild after this loss. So we'll see where it goes, I guess. And then afterwards, it's the main event. the rematch that no one really wanted, Sergey Kovalev versus Jean Pascal. The first fight was an entertaining fight. Make no mistake about it. It was a lot more competitive. It was very competitive. But what happened was Kovalev like really landed some shots that I feel. I mean, really had, especially in the last sequence of that fight. I really thought that Kovalev took something out of Pascal physically after that fight, because after that Pascal went against Gonzalez and got a gift, and he looked absolutely awful in that fight. And then so I'm thinking to myself like, why is Pascal getting a gift over this fight? Because they would keep on mentioning that if Pascal won this fight, then they give it to Kovalev. Uh, excuse me. Um, he'd get a rematch with Kovalev, and meanwhile Kovalev I think had like he faced Muhammadi, which he won pretty easily, and then they were talking about rematch. So I'm thinking like, why are we talking a rematch? Why are we doing rematches? I mean, this was, although it was a competitive fight, it was a clear, decisive finish. I mean, even if Pascal thought the referee stopped the fight too soon, um, the guy, there was no the evidence was he was stumbling all over the place, and you got to stop. You got to stop when you see fighters do that. So yeah, I was not happy when this was actually announced as a rematch, because it was to me it was unwarranted, and also too with Kovalev, mostly because he's in a division right now where one of the best fights in boxing that can be made right now is him versus Adonis Stevenson for all the belts at light heavyweight. That's the fight that needs to happen, but unfortunately, there's been a lot of political stuff that's gotten in the way of that fight in the last couple of years. So now we have both those champions are facing fighters they probably shouldn't be facing or have no business facing. So yeah, the fight. Um, the fight pretty much was a foregone conclusion. I mean, there was nothing in there. I mean, they had Pascal had training, had Roach in his corner. I didn't see anything at all that made me think what he actually did, what he actually learned from Roach. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, pretty much, and then also too, there was a blown knockdown call where excuse me, not Sergio, Sergey, actually knocked Pascal down with a jab, and the ref ruled it a slip. Even on the replay, it was showed it clear as day. It was just a stiff left jab, and I've seen Kovalev knock down people with jab before. It's pretty. He probably has one of the best jabs in the business today, but the ref ruled it a slip, and then pretty much it was just. And the thing is, too, it was just a slow, systematic beatdown. Kovalev didn't even turn it up like he did. Like in the first fight, you saw him just absolutely explode and turn it up. This time, he didn't have to. I mean, pretty much he walked him down, hit him with the right hands. Pascal, you see his eyes were all wide and whatnot. It was like he didn't want to get hit because he was feeling that power, and he was getting lit up. And I knew, and he was in trouble. He knew this. So I mean, pretty much it got to the point where he was just taking just a very slow beating, and he'd hang on the ropes, and Kovalev was just like wailing on him, and I'm like, there was like 2-3 straight rounds of this. I'm like, stop the fight! Like why won't you stop the fight? And I mean, first like the referee was like, okay, you see him coming in, and then Pascal would throw a punch and then start holding, and then and then what had me like I know the Canadian doctor was in the corner, and then Roach is like, okay, you're not showing me something, I'm gonna stop the fight. Pascal lays on the ropes again, takes a beating, and then Roach comes back and says, okay, I'm stopping the fight, and Pascal's like, oh, I can still do this, and that's where the fight should have been stopped. And for the life of me, I don't know why Roach didn't stop the fight, and then after the last round of that fight, Pascal pretty much took another slow beating, and again Kovalev didn't even turn up. I mean, you could tell I think he might have broken his nose by that point, broken Pascal's nose by that point. And thank God, like I said, at the end of that final, I think it was the 8th round, Roach finally said, called it off. I was like, thank goodness, because it was getting to the point where if Kovalev actually did turn it up, something bad would have probably happened. But HBO cameras, I don't know what they were doing, man. Like after, I mean, you can see that. I mean, the man's head was down. He was checked in. He was defeated, and he had him all in. He had the camera all in his grill, like they were trying to catch him to either cry or whatever. I'm like, come on, man, like let him be. Like leave him alone. I mean, yes, the guy just got another beating. Leave him alone in his corner. Like let him be. So Kovalev won this match, and then apparently this will probably be a step up fight to probably face Andre Ward later this year, provided that Andre Ward wins his fight against Sullivan Barrera. And then, of course, it was typical Kovalev, interviews, and then apparently they made a bet. And then pretty much the highlight of the thing was Don Stevenson, who was actually in the crowd. HBO pretty much, ever since the whole thing that went down with, Stevenson jumping over the PBC, they don't. I mean, they may mention his name like once, but they don't ever put the camera on him. So Stevenson himself got the camera. Got on the camera on HBO and started running off with the mouth. And then because you see Pascal, was like, this dude right here, what's he doing? I mean, it was. I mean, like I say, it was a nice little bit of fuckery, I guess, to end the night. Um, HBO didn't let him speak or do anything at all. They pretty much tried to push him out of the ring because it was getting a little bit wild. And then they let Pascal, talk for a little bit, and then that was it. So yeah, it was a pretty dull night. It was a pretty dull card. Wasn't definitely not the type of card that HBO should have jumped off the season with. The announcing team was very in low form. I mean, B-Hop, I love the dude, but I mean, I don't know what dude was talking about. What he's talking about with all that beer logic he was throwing. It was either that, or he probably wasn't paying attention too much to the fight, because there were questions he was being asked, and he was just being a little delayed on the response. Yeah, the announcing team was not in good form that night. Um, although the Roy rapping with Pascal was a nice touch, I guess, and then the intros, the IMAX intros were pretty sweet. PBC should actually look at that. It'll improve the interests of their fighters, I guess. Oh, actually, I guess they should. It would improve greatly. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the card. Like I said, wasn't entertaining at all. I mean, I don't necessarily like slow, systematic beatdowns of fighters if they're not fighting back. I mean, if they're fighting back and they're taking beatings, whatever. But Pascal wasn't doing any of that, and it should have been stopped a lot earlier than it was before. So, yeah. So, until next time, peace.